All right, for this step, we are going to have to measure and mark our handles. So if you do not have a center seam line found on your fabric, then you're going to need to go back to the ironing board, fold your fabric in half, and find the center and iron a line. I already have mine, so I'm ready to go. The directions say to also find the center of your handles, and to do that, you simply take the two ends and smooth it out until you get to the top and place a pin. So after I've smoothed those out, I've placed a pin in it so that I know that the center is right here. Now we're going to need some measuring. So you will need your seam gauge, your sewing gauge. It's that silver thing with the numbers on it. Looks like this. And the directions say to measure 4 inches in. So I'm going to move my little pink dial to 4, and then I'm simply going to lay it on the edge of my fabric and line up my handle. So I have the center of the handle with the pin in it already. I've measured in to the fabric 4 inches, and I will remove my pin and actually pin it to the fabric. I'm going to pin it going into the fabric, hitting the table, and then pulling it back out. So it's gone in the fabric and out. We're going to attach the other side at the same time, and then we will pin these loose corners on later. So I smooth out my handle, and I can see that my seam allowance is here, so there's going to be one edge. I smooth out the other handle, making sure that it's not twisted. And for now, I just place them, and then I'll take my sewing gauge and measure over 4 inches once again. And then I'm going to pin it. And I'm going to have the other one match, or just tuck it under just a little bit in case it shifts. But always check that you're at 4 inches because it might have shifted a bit. So I'm still at 4 inches, and then I'll pin it again. To measure the rest of your handles, you're going to just use a colored pencil, a pen, or a piece of chalk, and you will use your sewing gauge, and you will simply measure over 4 inches and make a line, and then you will move it up over 4 inches and draw a line, and then once you have your lines, you just have to take your handle here and line it up and pin it, and line it up and pin it. The very top is going to have some overlap because that's where your bag is going to zip shut. So on the top, you actually want to stop sewing 4 inches down. So we are making a corner, 4 inches over and 4 inches down, and then you're going to mark that. And I like to use a symbol here. So I know that my pin has to come here 4 inches down. And I want to check, is it 4 inches over? I just need to move it a tiny bit. Now check my 4 inches again. Okay, I like to use a double pin. Your guys' directions say to take a piece of masking tape and masking tape right here. That's going to be your indicator for when you're sewing to go ahead and come up to the masking tape and pivot and then go back down the other side. You are not going to actually sew this 4-inch piece down. That needs to curve over for your zipper. So you would continue pinning the rest of your fabric, and then you would go to the sewing machine and sew it on. And when you do that, you will start somewhere in the middle, do a little back stitch to lock in your stitch, come all the way up, pivot, pivot, and go all the way the length down to the other side with the same pivoting motion until you get back to your original starting point.